How would you briefly describe your project to someone unfamiliar with what you do?
Seniors want more flexibility and more options. Our Iowa Cafe model gives them that. Eligible consumers can contact us and we give them a little QR code on a tag, and they can go to any of our participating restaurants and choose from an approved menu, and their meal then is paid for by our agency, and then we turn around and ask them for a contribution through a mailed letter to them at the end of the month.
What is the why behind your project?
Well, the why is because it really provides that flexibility that seniors want, and it allows for a lot more choice when it comes to menu options.
What has worked well for your project?
Consumers absolutely love the option of going to a restaurant that they know and they've already visited and having that choice. It was really easy for us to do when it came to tracking the meals that were selected because of a program that we used from Senior Dine. I don't think we could have done it without that because it would have been so much more work for the restaurant. So having that, it was a great success. Our challenge right now lies with serving everyone that wants to participate in our program because it's so popular.
How did you find appropriate partners/partner organizations?
Oh, well, we started looking at restaurants that were local. We thought smaller was better, so let's take a look at some of our mom and pop restaurants that were in our service area that didn't have a real meal site to begin with. There was no senior center or congregate meal site there, so we knew that there was a need for the seniors that lived there. The rural community often had the ability to work with us in terms of making small changes to what they were currently serving. And I would encourage anybody not to spend a lot of time with a restaurant if they weren't interested in it, because talking a restaurant into it is not worth it. They need to be involved and they need to be engaged and they need to be on board right away, because it will be a little bit tricky for them at first. There will be glitches, and that's okay. We can work through them.
What funding sources have you utilized or will you utilize?
We are looking at some community foundation grants, which are county, and those are available for any nonprofit that's looking to provide assistance in their local communities. So we work with them. We've also gotten some community development block grant money for a local service as well. Private donations, of course, is always another great place to find funding, so we'll be doing that as well.
How will this project be sustainable once your grant period is done?
We're looking at folding the program into our traditional AAA dollars as a congregate meal site. We're kind of able to do that because most of our, all of our congregate meal sites shut down during COVID, and this program sort of just got rolled into starting up as COVID was ending, and so we had congregate dollars to spend. We're just looking at doing congregate meals in a different way now. It's not really more, it's just different.
What stakeholders do you need buy-in from?
Well, clearly the restaurants, those restaurant owners and the managers and the staff need to be on board for this. It's just a little new thing that they have to learn. Most of the restaurants that we work with are already using point of service tracking systems, and many of them don't even need some of the technology that we can offer because they've already got it. But that's important that the restaurant really wants to do it. I think it's helpful that we have community buy-in from the Chamber of Commerce and from the city administration as well, because they can really help to support the program and get the word out about what a great program it is. So those two stakeholders for certain.
What advice do you have for trying to replicate a similar project?
Start small, start local. Crawl, walk, run, stay in real close contact with that restaurant for probably the first few days and few weeks to make sure they're doing things the way they want them done, that they don't have any questions. Before their program starts, before they serve that first meal, they don't even know what questions they have. But once they start having people come in and asking about, how do I sign up for this? Or who's eligible for it? Or how long is it gonna take? And how many meals can I have? We try to go through all that, but of course, there are some that we miss, and so you wanna stay in real close contact with them.
How do I get started?
Well, think through the process before you even begin it. The Iowa Department on Aging has a great resource planning guide, and that really helped us get started. It gave us some suggested samples, MOUs, agreements, menu suggestions. It was really helpful, and if you've got a lot of those questions answered for yourself before you approach a restaurant, it will be much smoother when you actually do get out there and start setting up those programs.
What do you wish you would have known prior to beginning the project?
There was just very few things that we've run into problems with. Coordinating statewide has been a little bit of a trick. We do each have our areas that we work with, and so the AAAs have kind of worked together, and that's been interesting because in our rural areas, you know, you might drive 10 miles and be somebody else's service area. So good communication with the other area agencies on aging that we're doing the same program is great. That's a good thing to have in hand before you start.